What's up, everybody? This episode of the podcast is brought to you by We Print Wraps. We Print Wraps is the wrap industry's #1 source for wholesale printed wraps. They offer free nationwide shipping all across the U.S. and Canada. Go to WePrintWraps.com today. Okay, folks, welcome to the All Wrapped Up podcast. If you're new to the show, I've been a weekly listener. Thank you for tuning in and supporting the show. As you know, I don't ask for much, but I appreciate it if you left your feedback and a 5-star rating on any platform that you're listening to. It really helps us out in getting the word out about the industry. And don't forget, if you find value in the content, subscribe and tell a friend. And now here's a brand new episode of All Wrapped Up with Kelly Foster from Kastle Graphics. What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to All Wrapped Up podcast. We'll be interviewing industry-leading wrap companies to share tips, tricks, stories, and more. All right, so we'll go live. We've got Kelly Foster from Kastle Graphics. How are you today?
I'm great, thanks.
So thank you for coming on the show today. I really appreciate you getting back to me so quickly on Instagram. I know we follow each other on social media. I love what you're doing with the industry and everything, and I appreciate you coming on the show today.
Well, I am super honored that you asked me to come on the show, and I was really excited about it.
Yeah. Super fun, super low key, kind of just conversation about the industry that we all kind of love and fell in love with. So typically how we start off the show, we usually try to dive deep into what you have going on at your shop this week. Can you let us in a little bit?
Well, we're kind of a full service graphics shop. So not only do we do car graphics and car wraps and everything cars, we have signs and banners and graphics for walls and different things like that. So this week we're doing a lot of banners for like the high schools. With the senior class, usually the seniors have special banners made if they're in sports. So we've been doing a lot of that. We've got some trailer graphics that are in the works, and it's been a really busy week. I haven't really had time to even sit down and think. So it's like, we're a super small shop. So like right now we're to the max on what we're capable of putting out in a day or a week. So it gets a little stressful, but I enjoy the pressure. I work better under pressure, I think. So I really enjoy the high pace environment that, you know, the sign company and the graphics company give you. Yeah.
It makes the day go by a lot faster. I'll tell you that.
Oh, I get here at 8 and then it's like, we don't open till 9:30, but around 9:30, I feel like I've been here, 5 hours already, and I still need more time.
Right. How come you get in so early to kind of get things prepped up, get emails sent out and stuff like that? That way you're not.
Yeah, a little bit. I dropped my daughter off at kindergarten, so I'm here, I'm here early. So it's kind of like I don't want to say downtime, but it's the best time for me to catch up emails, to do quotes, to get estimates done without the phones ringing and customers coming in and, you've got people asking you questions in both ears. And so it's the best time for me to think.
Definitely. Yeah. It's good to come in an hour and a half early and then have that downtime at the end of the day too, that hour and a half downtime to get off of, the stresses of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause if you don't, you kind of, your brain just bombs out. I'll just sit here and stare at my computer screen like I have so many things to do, but I need a minute.
A half an hour, not a minute, a half an hour.
Yeah, honestly, I would love a half an hour.
Right? Oh my God. I actually had a futon couch and literally I would take power naps halfway in the middle of the day. Lay that thing out. Great. That thing out, take a power nap. I'm charged. I'll go another 10 hours. You know what I mean?
That's great. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
That's awesome. So is the school stuff, now that school's back, is the school stuff kind of every year for you? Is that like you're in for the graphics and banners and kind of marketing stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, I've just recently, I'm going on about a year and a half of being open.
Mm-hmm.
And so last year, we just kind of got our foot in the door with some of those schools. And so this year, it's been a lot more, like the word's gotten around that we're here and that we're open. And, you know, a lot more of the schools have been contacting us about what can you do? What do you offer? So since then, we've been doing wall graphics at schools, with their mascots and things like that. And the banners and wall words, inspirational lettering, posters. I mean, all kinds of things for the schools. We've even done they have at the football games, they have these little side by sides they ride around. So we've been putting graphics and logos and all kinds of things on those for sponsors. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's a change from, doing the vehicle stuff all the time too.
It is, and we do for vehicles, it's kind of hit or miss sometimes. And when I say that, we might do some bumper wraps, or we might do, we've done some dashes where people, have trucks that they show that they want to do some pieces of their dashes or just some accent pieces, and so we'll do that. And it's just kind of starting to grow in this area. Now that people know that, oh, well, we can customize our vehicles, or we can add this, or, be different. And so it's slowly, starting to grow in this area. We're kind of rural America. We're not a big town. I think Harrison's population is around, I'm totally guessing, but about 13,000.
Wow.
So we're super small town, but there's a lot of people in the rural area come to town. And so those people, and, we're country people, we own trucks, and my truck here, that's what I wrapped, because it's a big truck, and I don't have a little car to wrap. I have a little box, like a little toaster, a Scion XB that I've half wrapped. But my truck, to me, was like, this thing's like a billboard in itself. So why not wrap that? Because it's a monster. And let me tell you, I brought it to the shop, day before yesterday. And that's the first day it's been here. It's made its debut at a show up in Branson, Missouri, and then it's been parked for 2 or 3 weeks. So I brought it to town yesterday or the day before for the first time and let it sit here all day. And people were stopping and taking pictures of it and coming in and asking if they could take pictures of it. And so it was kind of the wow factor for this area to see something that big and wrapped, totally custom. They were just kind of blown away.
Right. I mean, as far as your demographic of where you're at, is the wrap industry kind of, not, I don't want to say starting up, but is it kind of not there yet? Or is it kind of?
I don't think my area, exactly right where we are, yeah. I don't really think that. I think there was a few small businesses that might have offered some wrapping before, but I don't really think on the scale that we're doing it. Not just your regular partial wrap, or you got your side doors done. I mean, I'm talking bumper to bumper.
Right.
I don't think that was ever really available here for people. And without going out of state or having to drive 2 or 3 hours to drop your vehicle off and then getting a ride home, or, it's kind of new, I think, for just my area as to have that available for people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and to be the first one to kind of spark the interest, I mean, that's got to help you out for the long run, because, even with your truck being parked out front of your shop, people already noticing it. It's the best source of advertisement. And then you're going to have the other little guys be like, oh my God, where'd she come from?
Yeah.
She's going to blow everything up. And now we're kind of behind the ball. And, as long as you can get that kind of head start, you might be the first person to get that fleet phone call, or that, plumbing job that the guy's just like, hey, I need something like that on my truck.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it really excites me, the possibilities that are there, with people just driving by and seeing it. It is definitely like a driving billboard. It gets noticed everywhere you go. So, I mean, it's prime example for advertising for anybody.
Well, it pays for itself at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Whether you're the one that's doing the wrapping, or it's a client, absolutely. Tenfold, easily.
Oh yeah. I try to talk people out of billboards because I'm like, why don't we wrap your car?
Yeah.
Because more people are going to see your car than are going to drive by that one road on that one, and see that one sign.
Yeah. 1%.
Versus, your truck is going to be everywhere and you're going to drive here and you're going to drive there. You're going to be at stoplights. Like, it just makes sense. Parking lots, you park in a parking lot and everybody drives by and sees it.
Yeah.
So
It works. It works when you're not working. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
Yes.
on a Sunday afternoon, you're going grocery shopping. Everybody hop in the truck. We're taking the wrap truck grocery shopping. How many eyeballs do people are going to look at that at the grocery store? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's a win-win.
Exactly. Yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I forget I know every year they do like a national thing that tells you how many views you get, based on different, marketing campaigns, billboards, paper stuff, mail flyers and wraps. I mean, wraps is become the number one, source of advertisement, and it's the best ROI that you can invest your money in, that you can get tenfold back. I even had this conversation a few podcasts back, give or take. A guest had asked me, what's the quickest turnaround time that one of your clients got a phone call based on somebody seeing their wrap? And it took me a little while to figure it out, but they had said that their client had just pulled out of their garage after getting it wrapped, turned the corner, and got a couple $1,000 job doing, because there was a boat marine company, and they didn't even go halfway around the block, and they already got a phone call for a couple $1,000 paid for the wrap.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And people all the time, they're so expensive, and I'm thinking, well, if it's for your company, I mean, personal wraps aside, but for a business, I think it's like one of the best investments advertising wise that they can make.
Best money you could throw at anything. And to get a return back, 100%. Yes. I mean, yes. Okay. What's an average wrap? I mean, up here in the Boston area, $3,000, give or take, an average commercial wrap, a van, pickup truck, etc. I mean, you could drive that truck, that car, that van 1 week and get a $6,000 job just because they saw your van. Is that not worth it to you? You just paid for that and made double, and that's within a week. Now, how many weeks in a year? Do the math.
Yeah, exactly.
I think if you break it down, it's like 30 something cents I think it's for like 3 or maybe 5 years. It's like 30 cents a day or something like that. It actually costs. You can't beat that.
Nope.
You can't beat that. That's unbelievable. So now going back to your shop, you had mentioned you've only been at this particular shop, your shop, for 1 year now?
Yeah, I opened Kastle Graphics in June of last year. So
I was going to say, are you on a main road?
We are on Business 65, yeah. So that is a main road through town.
Wow, and probably just a ton of traffic going through there.
There is, but kind of where my shop is, we don't have the best sign placement. So, I have people that drive by now, even a year and a half later. I didn't even know you guys were here. Like, well, we've been here for a year. I'm sorry, but the landlord's sign here is terrible. I'm like, maybe I can talk them into a new sign sometime. I don't know. But right now it's a teeny tiny sign. So that's why the truck is so important when it's here.
Oh, yeah.
To help get attention. But I will say, just from opening a year and a half ago, business has grown so much. And when I opened, it was just me by myself. And I'll tell you, my husband pushed me. He's like, it's always been your dream to have your own sign shop. You've worked for so many people in that industry for so long, he's like, I think it's finally your turn. And, I was like, yeah, I know. And yeah, so nervous about taking that first step. 'Cause what if I fail?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's everybody's, biggest fear. I'm like, well, what if I do it and I don't? I mean, it flops. And, so I had a Toyota Corolla and I totaled it. I flipped it on its side in a parking lot.
In a parking lot?
In a parking lot. Yeah.
How did you manage
So,
that?
I don't know. I was trying to swerve to avoid some guy who was being crazy, and I hit a curb, and the car hit a tree and flipped over on its side.
Oh my
So,
God.
I mean, I was going like 2 miles an hour. And then he took off, so now I look like I don't know. Look at this girl that flipped her car over a curb.
Just sitting in the seat, just like in awe. Just like, what the heck just happened?
I know. So my car had a sunroof, so I climbed out the sunroof, and of course, I had to call somebody. They flipped it over, and I drove it back home. But
wow,
I decided, I'm like,
you drove it home after you.
Go Corolla, right?
That's insane.
I know.
That's gotta be like a Corolla commercial right there.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, dang, I flipped that thing over and drove it home. And I was like 3 hours from home. So, I mean, it went all the way.
Wow.
But I decided to let the insurance company have it. And with that money from my car, I bought my first printer.
Wow.
So
okay.
that was kind of my thing with starting the business too, is I didn't want a bunch of overhead. I'm like, well, if I do fail, I don't want thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, to worry about. And so I'm like, well, I've got this extra money now from my car. I'll buy a used printer. So I did. And that was the shop's first printer. And it still prints right now. It's a Roland, a 54-inch Roland. And I love it.
That's like a Corolla. That thing will last forever.
I know, right? That's what I was thinking.
I had a Roland too. I had a dinosaur. They'll go. I mean,
they will.
Yeah, they'll start making parts after 6 or 7 years, but you can still get third-party ones, and they work just as good.
That's what I'm saying. I love that printer.
Yeah.
And so, here I am starting a sign shop. I have nothing but my first month's rent in it. Yeah, I had to go out and we built a table. My dad helped me build a work table. And, my husband and I donated a little bit of capital just to order, some supplies.
Stocks.
To get the basics. And I'm like, well, I'm not buying anything else till it starts making money. I mean, right. I just can't. I mean, I had a cutter already at home, a little 24-inch cheapo from Sign Warehouse, and that thing's made its money 10,000 fold.
Oh, hell yeah. Those days are like, what, $500? Your first job pays for it.
Yeah. I mean, if even that, it might have been, I mean, I've had it for probably 5 years. So it was probably $300 then,
Yeah.
But, oh yeah, that little machine has paid for itself 100,000 times.
That's awesome. I love that. And even going back, even prior, were you doing a lot of your sign stuff from home still at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I worked in Branson, Missouri. Of course, I worked at like 5 or 6 different sign and graphic shops up there. And, that's kind of where I was at for 10 or 12 years. And then I got engaged and moved back to my hometown, which is Harrison, Arkansas. And, that's where I was like, well, this is my hometown. What better place to start fresh and new and with something new here. And so it just kind of all came together.
That's awesome. Now, before we get too deep into all your new stuff and your venture now, where you're at now, take me back a little bit, back like childhood, like what sparked you to get into the industry and did anything spark you as a designer or even a lot of us kind of have the similarities where we're all car enthusiasts, how did this all kind of intertwine together to get to where you are now?
Well, I'm definitely a car enthusiast, whatever.
Enthusiast.
Enthusiast.
I'm the same way. I had to write that down before I said it.
Enthusiast. There we go. I did it. I'm an only child, and my dad is a mechanic, or has been for his whole life. So by the time I was 4, I was helping rebuild engines and sitting in the engine bays when he was working on them. And, I've just grown up around cars and loved them my whole life. And so that was a lot of it. I liked that part of it. But also I've really been creative too, like with the artsy and drawing. And I wouldn't have told you that I wanted to be a graphic designer though back in high school. That wasn't what I actually went to college for computer science.
Oh,
and
okay.
Yeah. And so, but after school, I got a job at a little sign shop here in town where they had the old Gerber plotter cutter.
Yep.
So it had the punched holes on the sides, and you put it in the machine and it fed it through with the little perforated edges. And that's what it cut it on. And, they had it was 12 inches or 15 inches. So if you had a letter that was 30 inches tall, you had to panel that sucker 3 times.
2 pieces.
Yeah,
2
or 3 times.
Wow.
And so, but his dad actually was a hand painter of signs and still did that on vehicles and things. And I was in awe of that. I thought that was the neatest thing. Like, how can this guy come out here with a paint and a paintbrush and just paint these really pretty letters and, all this stuff. And that sign shop is kind of what started it all for me, because they were like, they would let me play with graphics on my car. They're like, oh, well, if you want to make something for your car, you can go ahead. And so I think I did things that they were kind of like, wow, what is she doing? I'm known for having the Fast and Furious car in my town.
Yeah.
It was loud. It was loud. It had a spoiler on it and I had bright yellow graphics down the side.
Nice.
So that kind of started it all. And the creativity from my drawing and things like that, we use Sign Lab there, but to start the vector, designing cut vinyl graphics, and I really enjoyed that. And then I moved to Branson and started at a sign shop up there, Signs Now. And I started out as just the girl on the table that did the weeding and taping and laying of the signs. I didn't do anything on the computers. I didn't touch the printers. I didn't do, that was it. Every time my boss would see me get close to the computer, he's like, Kelly, no. Go back to the table. Go back to the table and go work. I'm like, but I want to touch the computers.
Yeah.
He's like, no. He's like, no, that's not for you. That's not for you. And so for 3 years, I would try to get into that computer station. And, sometimes I could stay there for a little bit before he caught me, but then he'd catch me and make me go back. And
like scolding your kid. Yes, hey, get out of there.
Yes. And so our designer there, actually, he had a better job opportunity. So, he left. And so my boss there was like, oh, we need to hire a designer. I'm like, well, give me a shot. He's like, you have no experience whatsoever. And I'm like, I know, but I can learn,
Right.
And he's like, no. So he went through 2 or 3 different guys, trying them out. And I was like, if you'll just let me, can you let me? Will you just let me? And so finally, he let me try. And he's like, you're not that bad. And I'm like, well,
crazy.
Thanks. And so, we worked with Photoshop, which I had never used Photoshop in my life.
Wow.
And, I just started picking it up. And then he's like, well, maybe if I sent you to a few classes on Photoshop, that might help you out some. And I said, yeah, absolutely.
What year was this? What year was this?
This was back in, I would say around 2004, 2005.
Oh, okay.
So it was back in the day.
Yeah. Old school Photoshop.
Yeah. Old school Photoshop, 5 or 6 or something.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. And so from there, the skills just grew. And I went to a couple day classes at a community college and, learned some basics and developed skills, after that. And to this day, every day I learn something new, it seems like, on Photoshop, because I don't think you can ever learn everything.
No, there's too many tools and too many tricks to do certain things. I've been using Photoshop since high school, and I've been out of high school since 2003, and I'm still finding new shit on there. It amazes me. I'm just like, really?
Yeah, for sure. And, I'll see somebody else's Photoshop file and I'll be like, ew, look how they did that.
I got 30 different.
Totally, they did that totally different than I would have.
It took the long way home for that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's too funny. Now, going back even with Photoshop, did you dabble a little bit with Illustrator as well at the same time, or no?
Oh, you mean Frustrator? No, I don't use...
I've never heard that before. Good one.
I don't use Frustrator at all. I use Corel Draw mostly for any of my vector stuff.
I've only had a couple Corel Draw people on the podcast, and just added another one to that list.
That's me. I do not use Illustrator. I call it Frustrator because it frustrates me. Yes.
I feel the same way about Corel. The feelings
like
are
Mac,
likewise.
It's almost like Mac and PC. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. That's so funny. So, but I mean, Corel is basically Photoshop and Illustrator built into one.
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
Illustrator is Illustrator. Photoshop is Photoshop. There isn't like one that's both at the same time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And
yeah.
You always got to flip flop between the two. But okay, so I'll give you a shot. Continue with the story of Corel.
Corel. I like Corel.
Corel's my best friend. How dare you?
My subscription's expired. Actually, I need to renew that. That's so funny.
Man. All right, so continue on. So Corel in Photoshop, taking night classes.
Yep, did all that, and they had a Mamaki there at Signs Now that I learned to print on, and a Kodak, an old NCAD that used to print on like Kodak paper. Wow. I don't even know if they make those anymore, but that was my first dabble in the graphic side of things and printing. And, I love these fresh designers that come right out of like college and things that, oh yeah, I can totally do that. And I can set stuff up for print and, the sign world and vehicle wrap printing and stuff like that is so different than newspaper print or catalog print or, you've got these people and they don't know what the resolution differences are and how if you resize things and it's like, okay, so I had to learn all that on my own.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's great because I understand it because sometimes you try to explain to people, well, if you make it bigger, you have to take away, so it's like, it's really hard. It's really hard to explain it to somebody when they don't understand exactly what you're talking about. But learning and seeing my prints when I used to design something in Corel and I'd send it to the printer and it would print out pixelated and look like total butthole. I'm like, man, I can't. Oh, the boss is going to be mad when he sees that. I'm in here printing on for fun. And so I had to really focus on, what DPI and resolution to make things happen. And, I finally got the hang of it all, but there was a little bit of a learning curve there.
Yeah, I think we've all been through it. I was designing, vehicle wraps at 300 DPI. I couldn't even tell you. Oh
my gosh.
How long it would take me to move one thing on that file. It would take me half the day to move the phone number from the front door to the back. It's just, just the way.
Like, hold on.
Yeah.
Move it, and then you could go do some other things and come back and see if it hasn't moved yet.
That's funny. Be like, I'm just going to go out to lunch. I'm just going to move this over and then print it later on tonight. Be good to go.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you learn. No, there is no book that tells you, hey, when you're designing a vehicle wrap, don't fucking have the thing at 300 DPI or your computer's going to crash.
Exactly. It's going to be like 5,000 gigabytes.
Oh my God. Just saving the thing was a hassle. Never mind.
I'm running out of disk space.
Yeah. And God forbid you get a blue screen. Forget about it. Your day, you spent all day designing a wrap and your computer just shit the bed.
Oh man, and you didn't save it or nothing before that. So, I mean, that's how we do things.
Yeah. I mean, there's, I think my very first, I still remember, like it was literally an hour ago. I was printing out this brush and I had to put it was a Photoshop file, printed out this brush, this like kind of like illustrated brush, and I had to put a cut file on it. It took me legit one brush, maybe 2 feet long. Took me all day to print it. All day. Couldn't figure out for the life of me why it took so long for my RIP software to process the stupid thing. And then my computer would always go to like, as it's ripping, it would go to sleep because it would take like 20 minutes for the stupid thing to render. And I'm like, oh my God, there's got to be an easier way. There's got to be. And there's no book for that. There's no book.
Right. It's all you got to learn on your own. For sure.
Yeah. How long did it take you to figure it out?
Oh, it was a while. Because I mean, the guy that used to do all that was gone. So, and no one else there really knew what they were doing. Yeah.
No reference, no insight, no kind of, hey, here's a trick. use it. None of that.
Right.
Oh,
and so
God.
then from then on, I became the teacher. After I figured it all out, I'm like, oh, well, hey, you guys, this right here works way better.
Yes, let's stop working like assholes now.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah, they must have thought you were Yoda after that.
Oh, they did. Oh, when I first came in and I was weeding, they were like in awe. They're like, we haven't never seen anybody weed as fast as you can.
Oh, my God. That is so funny.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first project that you ever weeded out for them? Or even the first project you ever weeded out? Because I remember mine and it sucked.
I don't remember. Gosh, that was probably 18 years ago.
See, mine was at least 13 years ago, and I still remember. It was these little tiny bulldogs. They had they had fucking detailed faces and a construction hat on with the little logo in it. And literally, they were probably like 4 or 5 inches like tall and wide. And there were hundreds of sheets of these fucking things.
I quit now.
No, that was my test. I figured it out after. And you know what? I ended up running the shop after a year. It was my internship. Nice. And I think that was my test. Like, okay, let's give this kid the asshole work and see how long it takes him to give up. If we can get through weeding all these hundreds, maybe thousands of bulldogs, we'll give him a chance. You know what I mean? It was kind of my initiation. You know what I mean? And
man.
And I got through it. I ended up running the shop a year and a half later or so. And you know what? And big props to Carrie that gave me that in, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be where I'm at today, So,
that's awesome.
You had to do it. I mean, we all did it. Yep. You're the grunt of the shop. You're stuck weeding and taping all day. And you know what? And to be honest with you, that is the most fucking important part of the whole thing.
It is.
You can still mess it up by taping it wrong or putting creases in the tape, because that messes up your install. So if you got that down, you could basically do whatever at that point,
Right. I think it's great that people that start, that's where they start, and then they end up wrapping cars or owning a business, Like you started weeding vinyl and taping it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now you got now you do big sheets, and you're like, why was I doing all that in the first place? But it's the generational thing. Even back then, you had spoken about, the hand painters. I was still kind of in that era in 2004, 2005. I was still learning about that too at that time. And, I had a lot of respect for guys and girls that could just freehand some type of lettering job on a car and just make it so effortlessly. I know. It's almost like they had a computer in their mind and their arm was just an extension of the keyboard. And they were just like, an S, boom, done.
Yeah.
And like, it's like, and they would make like sans serif and serif fonts.
Yes.
Like with one little bottom line, they could do a whole word straight. I still can't even write my name on a fucking piece of paper straight. I know. And they're doing just
the cursive and all the letters are perfect.
It's phenomenal.
The strokes are all the same.
Yes.
It's just,
And when they get deep into like the shadows or the inside bevels where they have like white lettering, then they put that like kind of like, beveled look with the gray inside and just know exactly where to put those shadows to make it look like when the light hits it, it's like that all the time. It's just blows my mind. My mind.
It's way cool.
There aren't too many hand painters left. At least
they're not.
It's very, very popular still. Highly, highly sought out. Still in Europe, Spain, everywhere. United States it's kind of dying down. I mean, we still got the old school guys and old school girls still hand painting, but it's a dying art, and I'd hate to see that go away. I'd hate to see that go away.
Same here.
Yeah. It that started our platform. It was that, and then it was vinyl cutting, and now it's digital. And it's just going to evolve from here,
Yep.
I can't wait.
Yep.
Can't wait. But I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
So we were talking about you going to school, doing the Photoshop thing. So, what sparked you after that? What kept you going?
Well, I just basically, I don't want to say I bounced around from sign shop to sign shop, but I kind of did. And I learned as much as I could from each one of them. I was at Signs now about 6 years. That's where I wrapped my first vehicle. It was a 16-passenger van.
Wow.
I can't remember exactly what material we used, but it was a calendared vinyl.
Ooh.
There was no air release in the back. And it was laminated with this other stuff that I couldn't tell you what it was. Anyway, it was like wrapping it. It was like a piece of cardboard or poster board. Like, it was so thick. And they had this lady come up from corporate to teach me. And of course she saw it and she's like, you guys used the wrong stuff, and we're like, well, we have this van. It needs to be wrapped and it's all printed. And this was before I was in the designer part of it. I was still in production and installation. And so she's like, well, I guess we're wrapping it. Yeah. We'll use this stuff. I mean, we did it.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of heat and, hard work and elbow grease. But after that, I was like, man, if we can wrap it, if we can wrap a van with this stuff, we could wrap anything, because that stuff was a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so thick.
Oh man, I mean, calendar, that's got to be at least what, 2.5, 3 mil plus whatever you put on top
laminate,
of it.
Yes, it was thick. It was very thick. And, those vans have that groove.
Yes.
Down the side. And then they have the indents where the windows are. And so, it was a mess.
Oh, I would not want to see that van in a week after.
It wasn't too bad, actually. The round the corners is what was the worst, because it didn't have all that give and stretchiness. So, I don't know what it looked like after a few years, because I wasn't there, but I'm sure the customer was probably like, what is wrong with our van? Yeah.
Time to get a new one.
Right.
That is so funny. So after this person came by, the rep, and told you, did they explain, hey, don't use calendared, use cast?
Yeah, the lady that came up to train, it was already printed. We were pretty much waiting for her to get there to do the training part. And of course, after she got there, she was not happy. She said some not happy words about it and was like, we're doing it anyway, because she didn't have the time to wait for it to all be reprinted and re-laminated. And she was from Florida. So, she flew up here just for this.
Wow.
And so, yeah, she's like, we're doing it. And so we did it, and she's like, next time, you guys don't use that. Okay.
Wow. That is so funny.
Yeah.
So what happened after that? Then you guys got more kind of detailed with it?
Yeah, we got more familiar with what, materials to use. And I want to say that shop, we were using 3M after that incident, their vehicle wrap kit, and things went way easier the next job. I think we did a dually truck, and it went 10 times better.
Oh, I believe it.
than the old cardboard wrap.
They're like, wait a minute, we can slide this around and it doesn't stick, and oh my God, there's no bubbles.
Yeah, they come right out. It was almost like a miracle.
Right?
It's like, this stuff's magic. We were in awe.
Yeah, it's, I still think till today, it's, it's a little bit of technique and all the technology of the film. It's like, whether it be 70-30 or 80-20, but I mean, the film does so much for us now.
It does. It does.
We're kind of spoiled.
Yes. And they constantly come out with the new things, but I've used the 3M, I've used the Arlon, and I've used the Avery. And right now I'm stuck on the Avery stuff. I like it, better than the other stuff that I've tried. And so that's kind of what I'm on right now.
for print and
for the print.
Custom restyling, like the color change stuff too? Yeah.
Some of the color change, we use the 3M 1080.
Yeah.
But I like the Avery. I like the Avery vinyl. I like it, how it performs. I love the Avery wrap wrap vinyl. It's remarkable. I really like it.
Yeah, I mean, even though you got to kind of squeegee a little bit harder than you do 3M, you know what? I'm okay with that. I mean, I don't like that little initial tack. I like it being a little loose, and going back, you preheat it, you're good to go. It's perfectly fine. They definitely work differently as far as install, and they feel a lot differently.
Yes.
When you're working with them.
Yes, it's amazing that they're so similar, but they're so different. Like they do the same thing, but they're completely different.
Yeah, which is, it's kind of the name of the game, with being in that type of market,
And I think a lot of people, it's to their liking. Like I tried them all, and I stick with the one that I like the best. But there's other rappers that'll say, oh, it's hands down 3M or hands down this, or we only use this. And like, that's for them, that's great. It works great for them. I don't think what works for everybody works for everybody. Like what works for that guy might not work the best for me, but I think it's great that the options are out there. If you didn't like how this worked, you can try something else.
I just think there's so much out there, and everyone brings a little bit of something different to the party. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I feel like you're shooting yourself in the foot when you're only catering to one brand.
Right.
Because I feel like KPMF is coming like full force with the color change stuff, and their laminates are just a lot of these specialty wraps that are coming out where they're putting whether it be the Supreme wrap film or even the 1080, and then putting these kind of transparent laminates on that give it more flake and stuff like that, using KPMF's brand on top of that. Now we're finding people mixing brands. It's like, whoa, okay, where are we going with this now? It's opening up doors. You can't shy away from that. You got to kind of keep your doors open, and don't be afraid to use different brands. You're going to learn a different technique, so be it. But you know what?
Right.
KPMF's going to have that one color that client's going to say yes to over Avery or 3M or Oracle.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just keep your options open, and keep an open mind too. I mean, some people are oblivious to what's out there. I was never exposed to KPMF. Honestly, I'm not going to lie, till probably a little over a year ago. I didn't even know they even existed. I'm like, KPMF, whatever. I'm so used to the regular normal brands, Oracle, 3M, Avery, Matsac, just the normal ones are in the Fellows catalogs, the ones that kind of, more or less are like were on Metro's website. I never looked through it and be like, oh, KPMF, what's this? It's, I'm not saying I'm, me talking about KPMF, I love them. I met the owners at RapsCon, great people, great company, what they stand for, and they've been around for a very long time. Long time. Yeah, their backstory is unbelievable. They've been around, just as long, if not longer, than a lot of these other companies that have been out. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's just
that's interesting. So I didn't know that. That's
cool. It's just like keeping your, after I found out, it's just doing a little bit more research. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be new stuff that comes out. I mean, we all look at new tools. Every couple months, new tools are coming out. We want to try them out.
I love new tools.
Oh, I could talk about tools all day. We'll definitely get into that conversation.
I love tools.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely, I mean, it's just keeping your mind open, and at the end of the day, you have to be versatile in any type of situation. Sometimes people bring materials in, and you kind of figure it out,
Exactly.
How many times you get somebody that gets a sticker kit, some stripes, and they come in with 651. You're like, no, I don't think so.
I know.
No, that ain't going to work.
Like, where did you get this?
Yeah. eBay special. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's the nature of the beast. It's what we deal with. So, I mean, brands that are out there is 100%, and pigeonholing yourself to only one specific brand is you're only shooting yourself in the foot.
you know?
Right. Yeah.
It's just, I don't know how I got into that rant, but.
Well, and they change their material all the time too. I mean, like different ones are always coming out with new, exciting,
Right.
the new exciting thing. This is the new thing to do.
Right. And that's why I love social media too. Oh my God. Like you see everybody on there using different materials and different techniques and different styles. And you're like, oh my God. Yeah, I could use that. I could do that here, you know?
Right.
And
I know.
Bettering yourself. And it's, you know, I said this on another podcast. I feel like, you know, we're all in this together and it's just like a friendly competition. Who can one up the next person on social media or something some type of technique that they're using. It's like, oh, okay, I can make that maybe a little bit better. So I'll try, you know, and it's just trial and error at the end of the day. Learn by fire, you know?
Yep.
I don't know how we got off topic a little bit, but I like started ranting for a second. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I get into these moods. And everybody knows don't get me started on a laminator rant. I'll go crazy. I think I ranted about a laminator for 10 minutes one time on the podcast.
Wow.
Yeah. My good old days. And you know what's funny is that somebody posted on, are you part of the Facebook group, the Rap Society?
I don't know.
It's on Facebook. The Rap Society
has Facebook?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
If you're not, I'll have to find you and hook you up on there. And it's funny. Somebody put a Dej laminator on there today. And they were like, hey, you know, the roller came off. And I'm like, wow, I remember this all too well. And I left my laminator on the side of the road because of it.
Oh my gosh.
just, you know, it's not like the laminators are now where they're automatic. It's one bar up, one bar down, or it's automatic with a button. Back then, those Dej ones, they were the cheaper models, but they worked. They had two little anchors to push the roller down, and it was just little knobs. And if you couldn't get the knobs dialed in perfectly, the pressure.
Oh, from the top?
Yes.
Did you dial them in from the top? Okay, yeah.
Left and right, though. Not just one. Yeah. It's left and right.
I know what you're so if you got one tighter than the other one.
You're getting bubbles or creases on one side. Oh, my
One side goes in faster than the other side.
Don't even get me going.
Yeah, I know.
Let's talk about something else.
Laminators now are so easy.
Oh, my God, yes. They're way worth more. But if the headaches that you deal with are so far less.
Put them in there and push a button and it rolls itself up and everything.
Done.
Yep, done. Boom.
Done. Yeah, no. Yeah, okay. Wow. Woo! I'm sweating now. Talking about this shit. Oh, man. This brings back bad memories.
Oh, my.
Swearing
I don't like
those
those laminators either.
Oh, my God. Yeah. My God. I could
Terrible.
deal with my printer all day long. With the beeping sound, I could diagnose that. No problem. I was like, like a surgeon. Okay. Gotta, clean the ink caps. No problem. You're out of ink. Let me feed you more ink. But that laminator, my God. Got me going.
Oh, that's great.
All right. So what was the last thing we were talking about here? I'm taking this thing like down the deep end on my side. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
But you were talking about, okay, so we went back to, she taught you guys what not to use.
Right.
You guys are using cast films now, printing. You've been there 6 years. So, given that you were it was Signs Now, right? For 6 years?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Was your transition from there now into working from home, or what happened?
No, I worked at another sign company for about a year, and they did mostly sandblasted signs. So I got to learn a little bit about that.
Nice.
And then I went to a different sign shop and pretty much helped them grow from nothing. And they didn't have a printer or anything, so I got them into the printing world, and they had never wrapped anything. And so I kind of helped them get started. And then I was at that one for 3 years. And then my friend, she's like, we worked together for a long time. And she's like, well, I think I want to start my own sign company. So I went and worked for her for 3 years. Well, it doesn't always work out when you work for your really good friend. So, yeah. So, I didn't leave there on the best note. I left there and then I came back to Harrison, and it was about a year later when I started my own sign company or graphics company. I call it sign company because we make signs and graphics. So it's hard to just say I only do graphics or only do car wraps, because we do a lot of signs too.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Which is always good. I mean, given that you're in the area where a lot of demand is the signs, the banners, the graphics, the lettering, you kind of,
Yes.
you kind of have to do what you have to do to make a paycheck. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. Right. And, I can't, it's hard. I'm a yes person. So, I will run myself into the ground with yeses. I really need to learn to say no sometimes, but it's really hard for me.
Yeah.
Somebody comes in, can we get that tomorrow? Maybe not tomorrow, but the next day. So I'm kind of one of those people. I'm a yes person, and I really have a hard time saying no and spreading things out a little bit more. So I've kind of learned now that I have to tell people, hey, we're 5 days out, or we're 10 days out right now, or we can't get to you till next week. So if we're worth the wait, you'll wait, which we are, or, you can try to find somebody else that'll do it for you faster. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To me, sometimes the quality's worth the wait, but
absolutely. And they respect you for that. Some people will tell you, come by tomorrow, and then it's not there, and it's like, oh, okay, give me another day. You know what I mean?
Right. There's nothing worse than that. False promises. I do forget things, especially as many people that come in here and, oh, can I get something across the windshield of my car, and it says blah 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 and this color, and I will doodle it on a Post-it. Well, my desk has like 50 Post-its on it.
All over. That's funny.
And all of them say something that somebody wanted this and that color and this big, and so there's days where I have to catch up on all my Post-its, but then that one person will come in that next day and be like, hey, do you have my thing done?
Yeah.
And I'll be like, oh, wait, let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, give me 10 minutes.
Give me a minute to go through my Post-its real quick. Oh, were you this person? And so I really need to get better at that. Organization is one of my things I really need to focus on in the shop, just because we've gotten so busy. And, I told you when I started, it was just me.
Right.
And, now we've grown. I have a girl that's in college. She works here part-time when she gets out, and she's learning the industry. Basically, she does the cutting and she helps with weeding and taping, and, she's basically me when I started.
Yeah.
So that's her. And then, she started here, and then about, 5 or 6 months after that, I was approached by a gentleman that had sign experience and installation experience before, and had worked, at a place here in town, and he told me a little bit about it. And, I was like, well, I really can't afford to hire somebody right now, but I'll think about it. So I thought about it. I talked it over with my husband, I'm like, I don't know how often somebody's going to come in with experience.
Right.
That doesn't happen every day.
Right.
And so I'm like, and he's like, well, maybe we can do part-time and see how it works out, and, test his skill a little bit and see where he's at. And so his part-time has turned into a full-time.
That's great.
So so it's me and him, and I have my part-time girl, and, I'm this close to another person, to answer phones and take orders and do all of that. 'Cause I can't, I'm full-time designer, I'm full-time printer and laminator, and partial wrapper.
Yeah.
So I did my truck by myself.
That's insane.
All of it by myself. I brought it in the 2 days before the truck show, and the guy that I have working for me, Aubrey, he helped me do the hood and the cab, just because it was such the big pieces. I couldn't handle those big pieces by myself. So other than that, I mean, of course, my husband, he helped with the lift and, getting the truck ready for the wrap and all of that. And gosh, it was a rush to get it done before that truck show, but it looked incredible.
It does look amazing. And you know what? It's kind of got a feminine class to it too. You can tell, you see a lifted truck, you think, oh yeah, that's a guy. And then you have you come out of it. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. Like that thing's huge. So how big of a lift do you have on that?
It's about 12 inches.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's got 24-inch tires
Unreal.
with 40-inch, nittos. So she's big.
Yeah. Yeah. I would
She's
say.
really big. Her name is High Standards.
High standards.
I mean,
yeah.
obviously
Fitting.
because she's big
Fitting.
and tall, but, you know, and for me, it's a representation maybe for women as, you know, set your standards a little higher, you know, and don't just settle for, you know,
Mediocre.
don't just settle. Yeah. Being mediocre or accepting, you know, this is the normal of my life, because that's kind of where I was at. You know, I was at a job where I wasn't going anywhere. I was working for, you know, my friend, and I was never going to own that business.
Right.
You know, and so, you know, my husband's like, here, pursue your dream, you know, start your own. And so I did. And it's done nothing but grow and continue to grow. And it's inspiring. I feel, you know, I was a single mom before before my husband and I got married, and I was working and I was raising 2 kids by myself. I had a teeny tiny little house. We were living paycheck to paycheck, you know? And then suddenly here comes this guy that I went to high school with, and we go on dates and we fall in love and we get married, you know? And then the next thing you know, now my dreams are coming true, because I didn't just settle for what I had.
Right.
You know? And so now it's the shop and the business is growing so fast, and I feel like we're busting at the seams, really.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an inspirational story, by the way.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Cause a lot of people do settle at the end of the day.
Yeah.
They just think they're stuck. This is what they're going to do. And you know what? That was the life of, you know, our parents. You know, you
Right.
basically, you get out of school, you go get a good career, and you basically retire from that career and you die. That's it. That's your life. But it doesn't have to be like that anymore.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't finish college. I went to college, but I never finished it. I don't have a degree in anything.
Wow. How long did you go to college for?
About a year and a half. I was pregnant at 19. I dropped out. You know, I started working at the sign shop after my son was born, and that was about 18 years ago.
Wow.
So sign life is all I've known. Signs, vehicles, wrapping, all of that that's just been, I probably couldn't go and do anything else right now, you know, because I'm so stuck in, you know,
I hear
doing
you.
what I do.
I hear you. It's in your blood now.
Exactly.
It's your craft. You have paid your dues for 18 years to get to where you are now. Whether it took another 18 years to get you to open your shop, or only took you 5 years to open up your own shop. But at the end of the day, this was the path that you needed to take in order to get to where you are now. And I commend you for that. You know, it takes a lot of skill, and it takes a lot of commitment, and it takes a lot of just a lot of
time.
Yeah.
A lot of time.
and honestly, like you said, it takes the right person to kind of give you that push to be like, listen, go follow your dreams. This is what makes you happy. Why help another shop out get that big break when you can absolutely do it yourself, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. My husband brought me back to my roots, and, you know, I was in a different state, and now I'm back where my hometown is. And it just seemed like everything came together, and it was a huge step, you know, to move back to Harris, Arkansas, and pretty much start over. And, you know, and then, I was here for a year before, you know, the business really came about, but I was making stickers out of a bedroom at my house, our house, you know, and the next thing you know, this guy's wanting some magnets, or this guy's wanting some stickers for his truck. And so before you know it, you know, I had people coming to pick up orders at the house, and we live out in a dirt road. So I'm thinking, man, if they're going to come out to the house all the way out here, what if I had a shop in town? You know,
convenient.
And people could actually see the shop, and I could advertise, and, you know, it was slow starting, but I mean, it's really paid off.
Absolutely.
It really has.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no better feeling honestly, when I had first opened up my shop, the best feeling in the world, honestly, for me, this is my opinion, was having somebody need a service and walk into my door for
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
To have that very first client walk through your door, you're like all excited, you know what I mean? Like, oh, what do they want? What do they want today? Some stickers, a wrap, you know,
Right.
it could be anything. And
yeah,
that was the most exciting. I think that was the best sense of accomplishment, was having that first client walk through my door, and that paid for itself.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
That's such a great feeling.
And I get that still, you know, when I see people come in, I'm just like, oh, yeah.
Hi.
And yeah. Hi. You know, and it's funny too, because since this is where I grew up, I see so many people that are like, oh, I know your dad, or I know your mom, or, you know, so it goes back to that whole little hometown thing at the same time, which is really kind of cool, because they're like, oh, I knew you when you were little bitty.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's scary.
That's so funny. But you know what? I'm sure now everything just feels right. You know what I mean?
It does. It does. It does. Everything's comfortable. And I mean, I'm so moved into this place. We're busting out at the seams. I have 3 printers in here, a laminator, and 2 cutters. And I'll tell you, it's the tiniest little shop. I mean, tiny.
but you know what? You make do with what you got. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
You did it for so long out of your house. And, you know, this is just a plus, you know, ride it out till you're ready to move to a bigger shop.
Yeah. And I'm a firm believer in, like, if it's meant to happen, it'll happen. And so, you know, I've kind of been looking around for a bigger place, but I haven't really pursued it. So I just, you know, think, well, when the time is right and the place is right, you know, it'll just happen.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of what I'm holding on to with that.
It definitely will. It will. You know, if you're already having these growing pains within the first year, you're ready. You're ready. For sure.
Awesome. I'm excited.
It took me 6 years to get out of my little shop, you know, but it was the best decision I ever made. Honestly, it just, you just feel more comfortable with more space, even though, you know, more space, you're paying more rent, you know what? But you know what? You can separate what you have going on, because you're such a unique shop where you do have that sign side. So you're going to need a sign area to build signs, to do your carved signs, to do your smoked signs, where things can get dirty and whatever on that side. But then you got your garage where you can wrap cars, letter cars in a cleaner environment, you know?
Yes, I would love it.
I know. Believe me.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
You'll get there for sure. You'll get there. For sure. Now, what was the hardest, I mean, other than, you know, the scariness of, you know, opening up a shop, having overhead now, what was the scariest part of kind of opening up the shop? What was the hardest part?
Well, the hardest part was probably the stay-at-home mom part, honestly. Because I had my daughter, she was 3 she was 3 when I opened, 4. She was 4. And so I went from spending, you know, all my day with her to now she's at the shop with me.
Yeah.
You know, or she's staying at Granny's, or she's here, you know, or she's with her dad. And so it's like losing that time was really the hardest thing for me, because it was the year before she started kindergarten. So now she's in school. It's not a big deal. But, you know, for me, the hardest part wasn't really the shop. It was losing that valuable time with her.
I agree.
You know, because they're only little ones. And, you know, that was kind of the scariest part for me. And, you know, the fact that, you know, I open a sign shop and I have all this equipment and I never have a person walk in the door, you know, that's a little scary too.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, I just kind of had faith that it would all work out, and it has, and stuff has just fell into my lap, you know, equipment wise and this location wise, like everything, it just, you know, when it feels right and it just happens, it does. And it has for me. And I, you know, it was a little scary, and I was a little nervous, but, and the commitment to being here, the hours posted on the door, that's what scared me too. You know, oh, now I have hours. Because when I first opened, I was kind of by appointment.
Right.
And so I was in and out. but then my husband's like, you really need to put hours on there and you need to be there. I mean, it's your store.
Right.
I'm like, I know. It's almost like having a third kid. Like I have to be there. And
Yep.
so, I put the hours on the door, and then that was it. I'm
Yep.
like, I'm here now and there ain't no leaving. I mean, I will say I got bored a few times because I was here by myself and there was no work and no customers. And I'm like, well, this was an awesome day that I spent here by myself doing nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I try to use that time to work on other things for myself and maybe build a shelf, or, I'm kind of my own. I like to try to do the most that I can on my own. My husband helps me out a lot. He's on the road. He works on the road a lot. So I've had to kind of do my job. And if there's something that I would have asked him to help me with, I have to do that too. So, the water pump goes out at the house, or there's something that happens, like I have to take care of that.
Right.
So, that's kind of been the sign shop when I first opened, because he wasn't here when I opened. So get the setup and all of that ready. I need to build a shelf. Well, I'll have my dad help me, and, he's helped me, with we have an awesome sliding door that we recycled from an old sliding glass door.
Wow.
It's a huge glass door, and we hung it barn style, like the sliding door, the barn slides. I don't know if you're familiar with that. We hung that glass door like that, and I window perf the front of it.
What?
It looks so cool. Yeah. It's in our shop. When you first come in, it separates production from the front.
That's so cool.
And so there's this big glass door that's got a window perf of, I put a yellow brick road on it with the Emerald City.
That's
so
awesome.
So it looks like through the door is, where the gold is.
Yeah. Well, that's where you make the money. Right.
Yeah, that's where the money's made.
It's shooting.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, my little shop has grown, and I'm really proud of it. And, I appreciate everybody that's helped me, and, it's just kind of it's small right now, but I'm hoping for big things. I mean, the goal for anybody is to have a second store, right?
Exactly. Hey,
I mean,
now you're talking.
Yeah.
Now you're talking. Not just like moving to another big one. It's opening up another one completely.
Yeah. Why not?
Hey, keep those options open.
That's what I'm saying.
Keep those options open. Now let's get into a little bit of what you got going on in the shop. Now, you had said you had 3 printers now. Now, what type of printers do you have?
Well, I have the roll-in still that I started with. I also have a HP latex.
Okay.
And I have a Mamaki JV33.
Jeez, you got a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and we have I have a 64-inch Graphtec plotter cutter, along with the little cutter. Wow. And I've got, I don't know how many computers in here, but if you actually seen my shop, you'd be amazed that it all fits in here. I mean, because we are so small, I can't even kid you.
That is so funny. Now, you have a front office area and then your production room. Now, do you have a garage in the back?
We do not have a garage.
No garage. Zero.
No garage.
Wow.
Zero. Yeah.
So everything's done outside? If need be.
Sometimes outside. At my house, I have a shop where we've took several full wraps, just to keep them cleaner there. But like trailer wraps and things like that, we've just done outside in the parking lot. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Yep. Set up staging. It's a nice day out. Let's take advantage. Get some vitamin D while you're out there. Yep. You know what I mean? Get your tan on. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. Yeah, well, the first sign shop I worked at up there in Branson at Signs Now, they did everything outside. I'm like, are you serious? Like, I was a little okay, but I mean, it could be done. So we did it. I did it for 3 years, mobile. Yep. I was at the mercy of the weatherman. Yes, we are totally. It's coming up on that. It's coming up on that for us because fall is in the air, and then winter gets here, and we all know vinyl doesn't like winter. No, absolutely not. Now, how are your weather patterns in Arkansas? Does it just get really cold, or do you see any frost? Yeah, we get frost and we get some snow. Nothing really bad. Sometimes it just gets really, really cold. Yeah. No snow or anything, but just really cold, and so that kind of puts a damper on us. But I can rent a garage if I had to, to do wraps or something in. I really hate transporting.
Yeah.
Because then if the installer has an issue, he has to, come back here or get something else. And there's that back and forth constantly. And then there's the transporting of the graphics that's like, oh, something's going to get ruined.
Don't get the backer wet.
The backer wet, or the corner of something's going to lift up and get stuck to something else and you've ripped it.
My God.
So I just, we try to do it here. If I can't, then we make other arrangements. But so far, everything's been great.
You make do with what you got. Use every opportunity that you have to, whether it be a favor or whatever. It's just, you do what you got to do.
We've got a body shop that's just not even maybe a block away. That he's been very, very nice and supportive. And I did his graphics 18 years ago when I worked at the other little sign shop here in town. And, I'm still doing his tow trucks now. And he's like, anytime you guys need a garage or a bay, you can have our detail shop, and, anytime, just let me know. I'm like, that's
awesome.
That's awesome. I love to see a business open another business, especially one that's been in this town for so long.
Yeah, right. So, 18 years plus now?
Yeah, over. Yeah.
Same owner, same everything?
Same owners.
Wow.
Yep. Now it's his son.
Wow. See, generation. See, and the cool part about that is now you can think of your kids possibly running this 18 years from now.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about, but yes.
Yeah, right? I mean, a lot of us have kids. Ideally, the perfect scenario would be, I don't want to sugarcoat it, but a lot of us work late. A lot of us, don't come home like 9-to-5 jobs do. Some of us, so sometimes we don't get that, one-on-one with the kids. Sometimes we go a couple weeks, a week, whatever the case may be. And we lose out on that time. It's just nature of the beast. It's just running a business is not easy. You sacrifice a lot. And, the perfect scenario would be, your kid, working with you, and you kind of, you don't get that time back that you lost, but you gain it in a different way.
Right.
Having them step into your shoes and possibly, pass the torch.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If they go that route.
See what you do. Yeah.
If they go that route, you never push it on them and all that stuff. But if it's all they know and you're able to mold them at such a young age and they're able to get it at an earlier age, God, like when they get to like 16, 17, 18, what are their capabilities then?
Right.
Now you've created a monster.
My 5-year-old can lay vinyl. She can lay it and squeegee it. She's good.
See? I'm not talking about child labor laws or nothing, but hey.
Yeah.
You can do that door lettering, sweetie? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll give her a sticker. She'll go stick that on. She does good.
That's awesome. See,
especially
if
it's the air release, know? She just uses her squeegee and puts it on.
That's so
cool. Go, girl.
Now, does she walk around with the squeegee in her mouth? Because she's not a rapper or a sign person unless she puts that squeegee in her mouth.
Amen. Yeah. Amen.
Yep. That's got to be the thing.
I love. There's a post of Frank Fellers, I think, with a squeegee in his mouth, and I just loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. I'm like, who doesn't put that squeegee in their mouth?
Exactly. Who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
Oh,
it's funny.
It's those little. It's those, and you know what? I don't even know who had sparked it. It must have been pre-pouch days of, not putting it in your pocket. It's just easier. Put it in your mouth. Do what you got to do.
It is.
And it's right there at all times.
Right there. Right?
All the time. All the time.
And for that person that talks too much, it's perfect.
Yes. It's like, hey, here's a squeegee for your mouth and here's another squeegee for your hand.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you in half an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's great.
I've actually heard stories of people losing their teeth later on in life because of the fact that they would put the squeegee in their mouth so often.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. It's crazy. And they're making, I don't want to say biodegradable squeegees, but more kind of, if you do put it in your mouth, it's not as bad as like the old plastic molded ones would be, you know?
Right. I thought you were going to say they put mint flavoring in them or something.
You know what? They did. I think they did try doing that, trying to make some type of flavor, but, I think it'd be done by the first wrap you did, you know?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be all done. People would be buying squeegees left and right. Oh my God. I want that banana flavor. Oh my God.
Oh, that's great. Where's my grape squeegee?
Yeah. The yellow ones would be banana. The red ones would be strawberry. The orange ones would be orange. It totally would make sense.
It makes sense.
Guys,
it does.
Let's get this going.
That's something new.
Somebody get on top of that, please. My God. You know, a scented ones.
Yeah.
I've always told everybody they have to make scented candles that are like film smells. Cause you know, like you get that film smell when it's right off the press and, you know, it's just that outgassing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just,
Yep.
Just, you know, after 15 minutes, that smell is just gone, but
yep.
You know, that headache that headache doesn't go away though.
No, it's a nice little partying gift.
Yeah. Production all day, go home with the headache. Worth it. Definitely worth it. My God. So what do you like better? Printing on. Do you like printing on your Roland better for install or your HP better for install?
Well, right now, I use the Roland for install. I actually haven't printed any wraps on the HP yet. So I couldn't even answer that for sure. I've only printed my wraps on the Roland. Yeah.
What's your outgassing technique?
I just leave it on the roll loosely overnight.
Yeah.
The problem that I have sometimes is if it's a heavy saturation of ink, like a dark color,
right,
sometimes the ink will stick to the backing paper on the roll, you know, and it creates this foggy, horrible looking storm in the black, you know. I don't know if anybody's figured out a way to stop that. But
that's a good one. Do you roll? So you obviously have a take-up roller.
Yeah.
Does it reverse wind it so the backer paper it rolls into the backing paper, or does it roll? Do you see the graphic the whole way through?
You see the graphic the whole way through.
See, I used to do it the other way, and I don't know if it really makes a fucking difference. This is just me shooting from the hip. Every time I would roll my stuff, I would roll it into itself.
Yeah.
And then when I'd be done, I'd loosen it all up. But the backing paper would be on the outside, not the ink side would be out.
Right.
Because I was always afraid of like something contaminating it. I feel like it's kind of like in its own cocoon if it's rolled into itself. Don't know if that makes a difference. I mean, it's still kind of on top of it, but maybe
it would still be touching. So I don't know.
What I would recommend, because with the Rolands, you're able to mess with the temperature of the table. I'd maybe bump that up a little bit when you know you're running a high saturated color like a dark blue, a dark red, a dark black. Maybe just bump that up like 5. You know, I don't know if it's 5 degree increments, or maybe it might be 1, 2, 3 increments. Maybe just bump that heat. I now would recommend more of it on the front end. Don't bump in the underneath the
right.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah,
on the dry side.
Right. Because usually that will cause wrinkles. If it gets too hot, the film will wrinkle up a little bit.
Yeah.
And you could potentially open up the port, because all that is just the heat is softening it, so the ink is able to be absorbed a little bit more onto it when it's on the flat side where the cartridge head goes over. But on the drier end, maybe bump that up a little bit. That could totally help it. It's just a little thing,
I know. Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
Yeah, I may have to try that.
Yeah. And you know what? Nobody ever told me there was a little lever on the inside. So when you print banners, you pop it up so it goes up like an extra 1/4 of an inch. half an inch. You know how many head strikes I used to get?
Are you talking about your head height? Yeah.
Yes.
The
little adjuster. Now we're so freaking lazy. You can just hit a button and it adjusts it for you. Well, excuse me. The old Roland, you actually had the lever on the inside and pick it up. You know,
Yeah.
it just. Yeah. Oh my God, banners used to be the hardest thing. Especially really long.
They still are sometimes. Yeah, I did a 26-footer or a 24-footer once, and it got to almost the very end.
Oh my God.
Almost at the very end. And it jammed up from the backside, like coming off the roll.
Oh, because it was still stuck?
Yes. I just about I was like, really? Really? I was like a foot away from the end. And I'm like, you would do that.
I would cut it. I would always, how many times would you look at the roll, right? As it's wound, you look at it and you're like, okay, you're trying to count how many lines there are. You're like, okay, this might be 10 feet, but I'm going to print it anyways. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. The guess rolls where you think you have enough and you're not really sure. Oh, it's like playing the lottery.
Oh my God.
And you almost get a thrill out of it. Because if you make it, it's like, oh, look at me.
Let me tell you a story right now. I printed a job and I was like right down to the end. I laid it out. I'm like, okay, cool. I have enough. What I didn't compensate was where the little sensor was on the back that tells me I'm out of paper.
Material, yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm getting there. I'm measuring it coming out and I'm measuring it on the back. Oh yeah. I'm the 98% printed. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. Right? What happens? Get to the fucking sensor. I have like 3 more inches left. Fucking out of material. Are you fucking kidding me?
That's so funny.
I did not make the same mistake twice. I did it again. What did I do this time? As the things probably got like a foot left.
Did you tape some more to it?
Yes!
I've done that too.
Yes!
You trick it into thinking, yep.
Exactly. Trick it that thing still has another couple more inches at the end. Yep.
Been there, done that. Yep.
Yep. And I know everyone's been there. And you're measuring where your sensor is. I'm like, all right, I'm going to lose about 2 inches. Let me add another 5. I'll be all right to get beyond the rollers. I'm good.
Yep.
But the key is when you do it, always tape the underneath of the backer.
Yes.
And always tape the top. Because if you have that thing going the wrong way and it gets caught in the rollers, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Food for thought. There's my trick. There's my trick for the podcast. Take that one to the bank. You know what I mean? I've done it all and gone through so much shit that I'm just like,
yes,
I could write a book on little tricks.
I do that with the laminator too. The laminate on the rolls. I'm like, I totally have enough to do this job.
Yes.
And then I get to almost the end of it and it's peeling off the cardboard roll at the top. And I'm like, I'm grabbing it with my hands and holding the tension just to finish that print. And I might have 5 inches left of that laminate, but I made it.
Yes.
I made it.
You have that thing off the top roller with the tips of your fingers, just holding it, easing it down to that bottom roller. You're like, I'm almost there. Almost there. It's worth resetting the laminator all over again to get that extra inch.
Yeah, I know.
It totally is. Absolutely. As much of a pain in the ass it is, because usually I would have a little bit left over and then I would tack the next laminate. I would run it 2 rolls before I disassembled the whole thing on the roller. Yeah. So I would tack the next one to the extra relief that I cut and I just continue laminating. And I could go through two full rolls before actually changing the top core out of all the paper. And okay, it was heavy, but it was worth it. Why this is, it takes like 5-10 minutes to take it all apart and
I know.
Put a new roll. I'm just stick a new roll in it, tack it to the next one. I'm good to go,
Yep. What do I have to do not to reweb that?
Yes.
That's like, what can I do to avoid it?
And we all have different techniques. We run a piece of like cardboard in there to get the tension, and then someone else pulls it from the back to get it nice and taut.
Yeah.
It's fucking,
Yep.
you know, it's just,
Yep.
you know, and I hate it. And I'm just putting this out there. If you use that brown paper underneath your print when you're laminating as an extra layer, why? Why do you do that?
I don't know. I don't do that.
I don't know why. I see people, I walk in the shops and I see the brown paper underneath, and they use it as like a feeding part first. It comes from underneath and it goes through the rollers, and it starts it before you actually put the print on.
So is it like just...
It's just an extra layer, so you don't have to like have like 2 or 3 inches on the front of the print to run first.
I see.
To kind of be like, okay, do I got it? Do I not
So we're going
got
to
it?
use a whole roll of this brown paper instead of wasting 3 inches.
Right. And you know
I
what?
don't know.
It's another step when you're trimming, because you got to trim.
Yeah.
You got to trim that off. It's like,
Right.
why? I mean,
It's like a backer paper for
yes,
backer paper.
exactly. Why?
It doesn't make... I don't know.
Doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
It
I'm like
fathoms
simple. The fastest, easiest, simplest way of doing it, that's how I'm going to do
me.
it.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
And the cheapest.
Right.
I'm not using some wax paper or craft paper when
No.
I already have 15 rolls of it laying around.
Exactly. I'm throwing it out. Why am I saving this shit? I'm not a hoarder. Come on. What the hell? Throw that shit out. It's paper.
Yeah.
Make
It
another
is.
tree out of it. I don't know. Put it in the campfire. I don't give a shit. Oh my God. It's you know what? And it's funny because everyone has a different technique, and this is all for fun. I'm not shitting on anybody that uses it, but I find it a little bit more work. You don't need
It's kind of
need
redundant.
Yeah. You don't need it. Get rid of it. Why waste that extra money, you know? Unless you want that
Amen.
extra expense at the end of the year. Okay, cool. We
Some
built
paper.
$100,000 in wraps, but we wasted $20,000 in brown paper. Why?
brown paper.
I don't know. I don't know why. It's fucking laminate.
Kindergartners could be coloring on that.
Exactly. You know what I mean? It's like the brown paper that they give you to draw on at the freaking restaurants.
Right.
They put over the table so you can, you know,
Doodle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why? Why?
We're wasting it.
I don't get it. But that's just my 2 cents. Unreal. Crazy. Well, you know, I don't know how we got onto that rant. That was unreal. Holy shit. Well, I wanted to ask you too, like, which I probably already know this answer, but who inspires you, whether it be industry related or not industry related? And it could be multiple people, like whether it be influencers, people on social media that you follow, different groups. Who inspires you to kind of, you know, be a better person, be a better business person, you know, kind of just, you know, self-motivating for yourself?
That's a good question.
I love this question.
Like, I don't even know where to go with that.
Because it could go any which way, in a sense.
Right. Well, I mean, when my husband pushes me, he pushes. Like, he doesn't just... We argue about it sometimes, too. Because he's like, your sign shop could be making more money. Where's the money at? Like, you know, and sometimes we get down and dirty about it, you know, and he's like, I'm only doing this because... You know, I want you to reap the benefits of it. And I want to see you succeed, and I want to see you grow even bigger, you know, and not just keep, you know, pennies and stuff like that. And so he's constantly pushing and wanting me to succeed. And, you know, it's kind of a competition sometimes with him too. So like, I always want to win.
Yeah.
You know, so he pushes me and I'm like, well, let's see let's see what I can do, you know? And so he's a huge motivator when it comes to that. And, you know, my parents, they've helped motivate. My mom's even helped hold down the shop, and she doesn't know a thing about signs or wraps or, you know, lettering. And so, you know, somebody will come in and, I talked to your mom. Oh, that's great. I'm worried.
Oh no, what'd she con you into buying today?
Yeah. It's like, okay. But mostly, it's all good. It's all good. But, I don't really know. Like, I mean, I also like the people that I watch on Instagram. I follow a lot of the big names, rappers on Instagram and stuff. And I enjoy watching them. I will watch those little replays over and over again,
Mm-hmm.
and just, it's like mesmerizing, some of it. And I've learned so much too from watching their little, I don't know, short videos, I guess. I don't really know what you call them, but
Stories.
yeah. And they loop and you can watch them repeatedly. Like,
Right.
I'll get stuck watching one of those and then I'll watch it again and then I'll watch it again. And I'm like, man, that was awesome. Or that, that thing that they just used. So that was so cool. Or look at all the heat they put on that. Man, they put some more heat on it. Look at all that heat. That's way more heat than I use, I'm like,
so
maybe I should heat that up some more, So I love watching everyone else. I learned so much. And, I wrapped, my mirrors on my truck have these little cap toppers that go on them, these little chrome pieces. Well, I didn't want them to be chrome. I wanted them to match the wrap. So, I watched some of those videos where, two people were holding the vinyl and they heat it up really good. And then you just push the plastic piece into it. And, you like do this magic thing with your hands and it all, comes out beautiful. And so my husband and I tried it. And the very first time we did it, it wasn't absolutely perfect, but it was almost flawless.
It
And
made
that
sense.
It was like, wow. And he held parts of it and I held parts of it. And it probably looked pretty crazy for a minute, but the outcome was beautiful. Like and it was all from watching somebody else on Instagram, or seeing somebody else do it. And anytime when I have a job where it's something new, I'm instantly like, well, let me see what everybody else is doing. Cause, I don't want to do it wrong. Like, I'm very, very picky and attention to detail. And I don't like creases or seams or, imperfections. It's OCD, I guess.
OCD,
I don't know,
and
but
it's in all of us.
Yeah. And so when you do something like that, you want it to be something that you're super proud of and your customer's super proud of it, and so I try to do research before, we do something that we haven't done before, or even if it's stuff we've done before, how can we make this easier or faster or simpler? Or is there a special tool we can get that'll help us with this? Or, it's anything I can do to learn more. And it seems like in this industry, it's daily. The wrap gloves, oh my gosh. Where were those, years ago?
Right.
Because, miracle. I can't say enough about the wrap gloves. I love them. Love them.
Saves your hands from chemicals on it.
Mm-hmm.
It saves your hands from, the dryness of the alcohol, the touching things all day long, and you're able to wash the glove and reuse it.
Yes, they're amazing. Like, it's like sometimes I wrapped most of my truck with the same pair of gloves, which granted, they don't look really great right now, but they just made it so much easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
So much easier.
Getting your hands in those, your fingers in those grooves to push them in, as opposed to not wearing a glove where your hand isn't going to slide.
Oh, yeah. And then you stick on it.
Yes.
Your finger sticks on it and then you pull vinyl or something. Oh, it's just amazing. I feel like you can control the vinyl better too. You can feel what it's doing under your glove. Like, it's awesome. I love those.
It's just a tool for the industry that is purpose built, and it does what it needs to do.
They're worth every cent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. What other tools do you have in your arsenal that you are completely in love with?
Oh, the magnets, yellow tool magnets.
Yes.
Oh, lifesavers, especially wrapping solo where you only have 2 arms and you wish you had 5. I couldn't have done my truck without those magnets.
Yeah.
Oh, and you could still use tape, I guess, but the magnets make it so easy to reposition and for placement and, you need that extra thing to hold some vinyl down. Well, I use a magnet. My magnet is my extra hand or my extra person, and I couldn't have done that. I couldn't have done it without that.
Oh my God.
Magnets.
It's a seesaw back and forth and the tape, coming off the truck for whatever reason. And then
right. And then your prints fall onto the floor and get dirty.
Oh my God. Yes.
You got to go wipe them all off and start all over. And
the only time I use tape is when I'm trying to make a mark that I'm trying to hit. So I have it on the print and I have it on the substrate that I'm putting it on.
Right.
I'm using that as a reference. And when I peel the backer, those two tapes have to line up.
Right.
It's the only time I use it. Now I'm going to ask you something.
Sure.
And do you know what a stabilo is?
Yeah.
Thank God.
It's a purple pencil or a white pencil
Yes.
or a wax marker, basically.
See, this just goes back to our generation. I had this conversation with a newcomer, and he's kind of like using the old method of taping and using the tape as the straight line to hit his marks. I'm like, man, why don't you just use a stabilo? Stop wasting all your tape. Just draw two little hash marks on the vinyl and on the substrate, and that will be a reference where you have to hit.
Right.
He goes to me, what's a stabilo? And I'm like, holy shit. You gotta be kidding me, right? He's like, no, dude. Like, what's a stabilo? And I'm like, a fucking wax pencil, dude. Jesus, like
an adult crayon.
Yes, we like. I always carry a white one and a blue one on me,
a blue one
all the time because you never know what type of car you're dealing with.
Yep, that's only two colors you need.
Yeah,
white and blue.
And I think they make a red one. I'm not sure, but. I was floored that he didn't know what it was. I'm like, you new generation, you guys are killing me.
Yeah, I used to work with an old man that we use those daily.
Yeah. And
I used to just call it the purple pencil or the blue pencil, and he would correct me every single time. You mean the stabilo?
The stabilo, yeah.
It's the stabilo pencil, not a purple pencil or a blue pencil or a white pencil. It's the stabilo pencil. So yeah, it's burned into my brain.
That is so funny. Yeah, I fell out of my seat. I could not believe it. I'm like, oh my God, like, how do you not know about this? This is not new. I don't even know. Kind of, I would assume it's got to have something to do with the hand painters and stuff like that.
Probably
being able to clean it off at the end of a gig. And I couldn't believe it. I had to ask. I had to.
That was a good test.
You know what? And you know what? I have people that are in the industry, fairly new, that see it in my pouch and it's like, dude, why do you have a pencil in your pouch? Whoa. It's not a pencil, bro.
They're probably like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, it's fucking a stabilo, okay? And it is just so funny, and bringing these tools, all these generations, even talking about like a rivet brush, now we have the Rolly Pro has replaced the rivet brush, it's just seeing the evolution of these tools and seeing these kind of urban now I'm stuck on this because I didn't write it down. Urban-nautical? No, it's
Urbanomical.
Yes, thank you. See, I one for one. It's kind of the way that goes. Squeegees now that have the 30-degree, like the Yellow Tools one. I think it's the Betty one.
Rat Betty.
Yeah.
Yes, the green. That's a green one. Yep.
Yes, it just makes squeegeeing it so much. It's so effortless when you squeegee now because you're always at that 30-degree angle where the vinyl's just going to lay perfectly.
Yeah. I like the tools. It's kind of fun because it's like when I get a little bit of extra ahead, I'm like, ooh, what kind of new tools can we get?
Yes.
Then I get all excited when they come in, I'm like, ooh, now we need to wrap something so I can try out my new tools.
Yep. New blades. I'm such a blade type of person. New blades. I love the new ceramic blade that Yellow Tools has.
I haven't tried that yet.
Oh my God. Literally effortlessly cuts vinyl. Like you literally touch it and it cuts it for you.
That's awesome.
It's worth every penny. I mean, it's a $25 blade. Comes with the one blade with the holder. But you know, you get way more cuts out of it than you do with the stainless.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, I'm not a what is it? A 59 degree blade? They call it a 60 or whatever, but it's the smaller one.
Yeah.
I don't find a lot of use with it, but you know, when you don't want to press really hard on the vinyl and you can kind of almost score it and it will cut it perfectly. That
would be great.
It has its purposes.
Yeah.
But I'm a 30 degree type of guy. I like my long 30 degrees. Those seem to cut really, really well. Are you looking through the Feller's book right now?
I am. How did you know?
I am just... I'm
looking for that knife. I'm like, what is he talking about?
I can smell the ink from Feller's coming through the speakers. I can hear it. I know.
That's so awesome.
You're doing your thing.
I am.
Looking
I'm like,
for
what
these
else
tools.
do I use that I love? You know, we have the Geek Wraps 6-inch freestyle curved squeegee too, and we have a couple of those. We really like those.
Yeah. Those are really good. I love those. You know what's on my list for a big purchase is the bill collector.
Which one is that?
It's the big ass kind of like felt squeegee front. It's a replaceable, but it's got this cool handle. And it's like a grip. Fellers has it in the book. I don't know what page it's on, and I don't know if you have the newer book or last year's
the bill
book.
Collector squeegee. It's got the handle.
Yes.
Yeah.
For someone who does a lot of wall graphics or even flat surfaces like trailers, that cuts your time like more than half installing it.
Yeah. I could see that.
100%.
7 inches.
Yes.
That's a big squeegee.
Yep. Lots of square footage. Quick, and the handle is just like you are just ripping through it real fast.
Huh.
I mean, it's what,
$100,
cool. $100, $120?
No, it's $62.
$62. What have I been waiting for? Holy shit! I thought it was over $100 for some reason.
No.
See, that's worth its gold. And, you know, for something like that, because not only are you getting a good product, but you're saving money on the end with your install.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
You know?
Any way to save time. I mean, time and money for sure.
They go hand in hand.
Yep.
They go hand in hand. Any other cool tools that you might have?
The knifeless tape. The knifeless tape has been something I've just started using since I started this store, and the 3M clear edge sealing tape.
Yes.
Both of those I am in love with.
Mm-hmm.
I love both of those items. The knifeless tape just, like there's nothing worse than cringing a little bit when you have a knife on a customer's car, you know, and nobody wants to do that.
Agreed.
So with that knifeless tape, it takes a lot of stress out of it. It's getting it started correctly, I find, is the hardest part. And I have tried the snap method. I've bought the special little tool method. And, you know, it's getting it started. Yeah. Sometimes is the hardest for me.
It's leaving. The trick is, and I said this it was Digital Dan's episode, because he is that guy. If you haven't listened to Digital Dan's episode, he must have plugged the knifeless like 1,000 times. He is like the knifeless guy, you know? And he said, always give yourself an out on both ends. If you get messed up on one, make sure that you can restart on the other side, just in case.
Just in case, a backup.
Yeah, because God forbid the thing rips, or you don't get that, you know, you get that string, but that's the only thing you get, and you don't have enough to kind of wrap around your finger to get that extra, you know, oomph to get through the vinyl. Always give yourself a little more, whatever you think you have for extra, give yourself a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because that's definitely your in. And I always use the the flip, you know, you kind of flip it into itself method, stick your finger down and then pull it real quick.
Yep.
I always use that method. And as long as you give yourself, I know it's expensive, but the cost of you using it should be absorbed to the client. If you're making it clear that listen, you're going to pay a little bit more with me, but I will not use a blade on your vehicle.
Right.
You know, and you put it on them, make them pay for the roll, tie it into the price.
Right.
You know what I mean? So use, you know, 4 or 5 inches of it at the end just to make sure you get that piece that you need to cut all the way through. Right. You know?
Yeah. That's great.
Knifeless is tough. I mean, and even going back on this, like you basically learned by fire. You've worked all these jobs. You've figured things out yourself, whether it be through watching, you know, things on YouTube, watching things that other people are doing, you know, face to face or social media. And you've taken those little snippets and put them into your day in and day out and figured it out for yourself.
Right.
Which a lot of people don't do anymore. You know, a lot of people go straight into certifications, which is great. I love certifications. I love that we have more of them now. I love that they're easier to get into than they were, you know, 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Right.
But you still have learned through trial and error, which is great. I commend you for that, because not that too many people will take that initiative and continue, because not only after your certification, do you still have to learn, you know, you take the skills from your certification, from your testing, from everything, and you still have to apply them day in and day out with different vehicles. There's nobody there, you know, showing you every single vehicle and what to do. You have to take what you've learned from the last job and implement it better for your next job.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
Is there
trial and error?
That's it. That's it. Is there any kind of talks about possibly taking a course or taking a certification later on down the road to kind of more or less solidify what you're doing? It's almost like your college degree. You know what I mean?
Right. I would love to eventually. I mean, if it was close enough and, you know, time wise, I could get away long enough to go, I would love to. I would love to take, you know, some of the certifications and the courses and even the contest. I think that would be fun. I noticed one of the rap places, I think the show in Vegas is having a team rapping contest. Like, how fun would that be?
Oh my God, yes.
It's like a team of 2 and you have to rap half a car in like 20 minutes or something. I'm like, how fun would that be?
Yeah. That's you think you're stressed out at your shop. Imagine having all your peers watching you rap. That's gotta be a kick in the pants. Oh my God. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
It would be very stressful and fun. Imagine the sweat.
Oh my God. Yes.
You'd be sweating through your gloves.
Everybody's critiquing you. Oh my God. You know, oh my God. They peeled the paper off wrong. Well, how the fuck did you do that? I thought you can only peel it one way. Fucking, that's down. Fuck. How do I mess? Oh, that's 10 points. No, you're good. You know, that's funny. I mean, I would probably do it once just to do it. But I would I would definitely be sweating bullets for sure.
It just sounded like a fun thing to watch. Maybe to be a part of and to watch. I don't know. I would probably eliminate it. It's like, I don't know how they said, but there's so many rounds in elimination, but it would be fun to watch too, you know, just to watch them do it and see how quickly they get them done with, you know, and the detail that gets done in 20 minutes.
Right. And you know what? In the technique of doing something fast, you know, and still having that quality is key. 'Cause, you know, some people have fleet jobs where, you know, you have 10, 15 vehicles that need to get done in a time frame. let's just say 10 vehicles in 10 days. You know, that's a lot for one person. To continuously, like, one after another after another. I mean, by the time you get to your second, third, fourth one, you should basically be doing this in your sleep. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
And figuring that out and how to cut corners, but not cut quality. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yes.
I think that's where
the
I would
goal.
learn. That's where I would learn the most by watching is like, how do you cut that door handle in 30 seconds?
Yeah.
You know
and
what
it
I mean?
looked good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's acceptable. And you know what? It's finding, I think in the beginning stages, it's finding what's acceptable and what's not acceptable.
I know what some people say is a 5-star wrap or something. And then you look at it and you're like, oh, well, then what was that one over there? Because, you know, I didn't see anything wrong with it. So, you know, I think that's another thing too. Like what's considered, you know,
passing and not passing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm so meticulous. Like it's really hard for me to let any little thing go.
Yeah. And then, and you know what? It's, you know, we want to do a good job, but you know, at the end of the day, this is most of the stuff. And I think you would agree with, at least with the commercial stuff, it's not showroom. It's not supposed to be showroom quality. These people are taking it out. They're going to beat the shit out of it. It's a great advertisement. Yes. Is it built to last? Yeah. Great. But where do you draw that line where, okay, I've spent 10 minutes on this door handle. Was that worth it?
Right.
Yeah, maybe. But could you have done it in 2 minutes? Probably. You know what I mean? And gotten the same result. You know what I mean?
Basically, yeah.
It's what's acceptable, and I don't think there's a standard as far as like, hey, you know, you have to do it like this or it's wrong. You know,
right?
Everybody does it differently. Some people do inlays differently than others. It's just, you know, some people like to push it all the way in. You know what I mean?
Right.
And take their chances. I mean, will it stay? Maybe. You know. I mean, you're kind of gambling a little bit. When it does, do you hit a home run? Great. That one worked. But how many more others after that will work?
Right.
You're going to implement that same exact pressure, technique, heat, the same exact way that you did the other one a year ago. You know what I mean? It's
right.
I get this conversation a lot where, you know, on the sprinters, you know, not to get philosophical, to cut or not to cut. You know, what do you do? I mean, like, is there a technique to push it in? Yes, there clearly is. But do you still run the risk of it popping? Maybe. When you cut it out, do you run a risk of it popping? Never. Right. That thing will never pop. You know, it's just what can you get away with? What's acceptable? What's not acceptable? And there's nobody there to tell you that it's wrong or right. If the quality is there and the longevity of the material is on there for the long haul, you've done your job. And I think the client won't know any different.
Right.
You know? Yeah. No. That's my opinion only. For the record. That's just my 2 cents. But I mean, you know, I can go on for days about certain things, certain techniques that, you know, some people have told me, like, why do you do it like that? You know, it's just, why not?
Yeah, to each their own.
For me, it stays. You know? Yeah. It just, you know, I don't get a call back in 3 months. I don't get a call back in a week that something's wrong with it. You know, it's just, I know it works because I've tried it. I learned what not to do before. And I don't implement that technique anymore. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
You know, and I think a lot of us have learned, you know, as time has gone on, you know, things that come back, you're like, okay, I did it this way. I can't do it this way anymore. because I'm getting a call back. I have to figure out something else. And, when there's a will, there's a way, and
Right.
you'll find it,
Yep.
But nobody's perfect. At the end of the day,
Nope.
by all means, I've messed up more apps than I would admit, in the beginning stages at least.
Right.
But you have to figure it out. Keep plugging away. And you being in the industry or even in the sign industry, vehicle wrapping, vehicle lettering, just being in the industry, you've seen everything.
Yep.
So you're seasonal. You know.
Yeah.
You know what to do, what your capabilities are. So, and I commend you for being a business owner, a woman that is just killing it in the industry right now. I can't commend, and especially you being overall. You design, you produce, you install, you do everything. You could be a one-person shop tomorrow and be okay.
Yes.
You're so well-rounded. I commend you for that.
I've worked in those shops where the owner can't do all of it or any of it.
Right.
And so I've seen that, and I'm like, I don't want to be that person. If I can't run my own business, I don't need it.
Right.
And so, when people can't just walk in and do any job in their shop, I like to be that person. I can be anybody here.
Right.
And I enjoy that. I enjoy the fact that I can sell it, I can design it, I can print it, I can make it, and I can install it. Yeah, it might take me a little longer.
Right,
it's just me. But, it's fun. It's a challenge.
It's a challenge, but you know what? At the end of the day, if you had to rely on somebody and they weren't able to kind of fulfill their end, whether in whatever avenue whatever lane they took in your business, that you're able to step in and get that done. And not a lot of business owners can do that. Where, their design guy just fucking get up and leave, or doesn't show up. Well,
right.
Guess what ain't happening today? Because you're not a designer.
Right.
No designer, no production. No production, no install, no money. Like, you need to know every aspect of the business, at least a little bit, to get you by.
Exactly. Yep.
I
agree.
And there's not a lot of people in your shoes that are like a triple threat or whatever that can do all that. And I commend you on that, because to wear all the hats, you really had to go through a lot to get to where you are now. And I know that road. I absolutely know that road. I went through the same idea, less years. I've only been doing it for like 13, going on 14 years in April, but you've been doing it a lot longer than I, and I know what you've been through,
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Nope. No. It's not.
No. And you're able to adapt. You're coming up 20 years in the industry, and you've seen a lot. Yeah. You've seen a lot. So you're able to adapt and kind of go with the times, and that's awesome, Right. That's awesome. Well, we're going to be wrapping up here. We almost hit about 2 hours.
Awesome.
Yeah, doesn't it go by quick?
It does.
It went by super quick, and it was an absolute pleasure talking to you.
It was awesome. It was so fun.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of great laughs, little reminiscing. Back in the days. And is there anything that maybe we didn't bring up that maybe you wanted to talk about, or we hit all our points on this episode?
I think we did pretty good.
Yeah, I think so too. We ranted for a little bit about a couple things. Yep. Talked about business. Talked about some struggles. Talked about all the great stuff you're doing now with your new shop and employees and everything you got going on. It's completely amazing.
I I just wanted to say thank you again for having me on here and asking me to come on and talk. It was a lot of fun. And, I learned stuff just talking to you. So, I mean, looky there, Yeah. So I appreciate it. And thank you so much.
Oh, same here. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day, to come on and talk a little bit about your story, your struggles, and what you're doing for the industry right now, and complete blessing to have you on here and help promote your business and what you're doing.
Thank you.
So usually we end the podcast by, letting everybody know where they can find you on social media, website, and all that stuff. Can you let everybody in?
Yeah, we are Kastle Graphics, and that's Kastle with a K. Kastle Graphics. We're on Instagram as Kastle Graphics. We're on Facebook as Kastle Graphics. And I am on the internet at www.kastlegraphics.com. And that's Kastle with K.
Kastle with a K.
Kastle with a K.
K for Kelly.
Yep.
How to make it different. Make it your own.
That's it. That's the whole thing right there. That's different.
The luxury of owning your own business. You're able to add your own little perk to your name, to your business name. That's awesome.
For sure.
Love it. Well, Kelly, complete pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for taking the time again. I wish you and your family and your employees well for 2018.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Really appreciate it.
What's up, everybody? Hope you enjoyed this episode of the All Wrapped Up podcast. Hit that rank button and review. And to stay up to date with future podcasts, hit that subscribe button. Till next time, folks, that's a wrap.